Good morning, everybody. You are tuned to Computers 2K now on the Nissan Communications Network. I'm Amnon, your host for the next, I don't know how long the show's going to be. 2 hours, something like that. And with me is nobody, so I'm here by my lonesome. Our number is 919-518-9773. Computers 2K voice on Skype. And this morning's show is being brought to you by Telestream's Wirecast software. And is sponsored by Tom Sinclair of Live Streaming Gear. Happy Father's Day, everybody. Apparently, all my co-hosts are out with family. So they got their priorities straight. I'm all for it. There's not, well, I'm not by my lonesome anymore. So Mike is with me.
Yeah, it's a fact.
Good morning.
Hi.
Hi.
What's up?
When are you going out with the kids, Mike?
I'm not going anywhere.
Probably not going anywhere?
No.
Yep.
No.
Sort of like the same here.
I've got to clean up some. I've got to find my portable digital recorder.
You mean you need one to use, or you just?
I need to find that one. I needed it yesterday.
Oh well.
I hope it's here. It's very expensive.
It must be here in one of those boxes, right?
Dude, I've been through those boxes so many times.
If you need one, I do have the one that. What do you call it? You know what I'm talking about, right?
I don't remember which one it is. Was it the Olympus or something like that? Or
it was the $90 one, the little 05, something like that.
Oh, yeah, the Roland.
I don't remember the make of it, but yeah, it's here somewhere under. Anyway.
Yeah, your audio's splattering a little bit. So have you been screwing around with stuff again?
You mean it's too loud?
Yeah, something seems. You got the AC on, right?
Yeah.
Okay. It just seemed it was not a big deal, but it seems loud.
Check. Yeah, I mean the.
All right. As long as your meters are okay, that's good.
Yeah, the meter is fine. It's not even touching the yellows. So what's going on? Anything?
No, I was just thinking about how in the old days we used to come on the show every week and talk about a brand new processor that's out and new memory style and everything's new. And boy, don't we need to get the latest and greatest. I've got an i7 sitting over here that I power up about once every 2 weeks. 16 gig of memory, i7 quad core, whole 9 yards. And I just don't even use it anymore.
Well, you use what you need to.
Don't see any reason to upgrade to the faster, better, faster computer because it really doesn't promise to be any faster, appreciably.
I realized I forgot to do the Facebook. You know, I didn't know that you can embed the Facebook video until a couple of weeks ago. And it's really high resolution, but you cannot get the um, link before you start the show. It's not like the other ones that you can get the link and plug it in there, and when you're ready to go, there it is. So after the show starts, and it's not even available until about, I don't know, like a minute or two after the show starts, after the video starts.
Then started early.
But then the recording is going to be kind of screwy.
Oh no, not that.
So I don't want to go with the editing and all that kind of stuff. So here I go, and this, and you guys are seeing it as it's happening, and we plug it in here. And it didn't do it. I need to paste. Now it did. Yeah, I know. Okay, now the Facebook or channel 7 should be on. Let's see that it works. No, it's not working.
No.
This is last week's.
Yep. I don't know. Did you hit the play button? Now it's last week because it's got a time on it.
Yeah, it is last week's.
Okay. Well, you can do that later.
Yeah, I mean, people like it because it's high res. So if they're watching
out of your studio,
well, no, if they're watching on a big TV, then it makes a big difference. And that's what I was trying to do.
I understand.
Anyway, yeah, I'll fix it during the show when I have a break. So this is an interesting bit of information. The Trump administration announced Thursday that it would eliminate dozens of paperwork requirements for federal agencies, including an obscure rule that requires them to continue providing updates on their preparedness for a bug that afflicted some computers at the turn of a century, Y2K.
Right.
As another example, the Pentagon will be freed from a requirement that it file a report every time a small business vendor is paid, a task that consumes some 1,200 man hours every year. So the government is still working on Y2K problems.
Well, they probably because they didn't solve them, and they're committed to getting the problem solved.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, do you remember the day when it turned and nothing happened?
Yes.
Couldn't they just leave it alone?
Government?
Obviously not.
It's all about job. I mean, where are these people who are coming in working 40 hours a week trying to prepare for the Y2K problem? What are they supposed to do for food, clothing, and shelter, Amnon?
Yeah, it's a good point. It's a good point.
I mean, their COBOL programs need to be maintained on a daily basis.
It's just it's amazing to me that thing is even being mentioned anymore. Y2K. Well, I mean, that's 17 years ago.
I know, and it was not a big deal back then. Now, I will argue that it very well could have been a big problem for some government computers because they were using very old technology.
It could have.
Very incompetent people. So they were certainly smart to prepare for the issue. But starting on January 1st, they should have repurposed those people for meaningful things instead of just a lot of these. The good news is a lot of these people probably don't have to get up and go into work every day. They just email in those same reports every week. So it's not like we're putting them out or anything.
No, we're not putting them out. But the money could go to better better
Oh,
use.
you are so old-fashioned.
No, I know.
Like what? Solar?
I don't know, to do some of the things that we need money for. Feed the hungry.
Like what? Feed the hungry.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So
Well, you got to admit, somebody at Trump's team did a fantastic job releasing that. That has gotten a lot of publicity. Money-wise, in terms of the government, it's an infinitesimally small speck on the lens. I mean, it's almost impossible to see in terms of government dollars. But if I were him, I would have a new one every week. The stupid thing we've eliminated from government this week.
what? Oh, you mean like a weekly
Sure,
thing?
sure. Because that stuff
Yeah.
will reverberate through social media whenever
So,
the formerly known as mainstream press will completely ignore it.
yeah. So do you guys shop at Amazon? At the store?
Who are you guys?
The you and Susan.
Yeah, what
I
do you
told
mean the
I told
Amazon
I told
store?
I told Kathy. She said, I said, so when are you going to Amazon next week?
You talking about Whole Foods?
Yeah.
I think she goes there. I'm not sure. I don't.
Kathy said she was there Friday, and when she came back, and I told her, she said, "Yeah, I was talking to the cashier, and the cashier told her that they are going to drop
The
their
what?
pay." Huh?
The what?
Cashier. It,
Gesundheit. Oh, you mean the person ringing up the groceries?
yeah,
Okay.
and and she told her that they're going to go down to minimum wage, and their health plan is going to change.
Now wait a minute. Bezos owns Amazon. He's an ultra left wing wacko. He would never do that. That's just a lie. That
It's
would make him such a hypocrite.
it's interesting to see how things will progress from something like this.
Well, while we're talking about technology, did you see there was a story this past few days ago where innovation is going to have another impact, this time at McDonald's, or not McDonald's, but at hamburger chains. There's a company, believe it or not, in San Francisco, the land of fruit and nuts, and they have a machine that can turn out something like 400 hamburgers an hour, totally computerized. A person never has to touch it. The only people to be required in the store are the people watching the computer and the front counter. And if they get these kiosks universally in there, like they have over at Sheets, then theoretically they could eliminate those people.
Mm,
And the ones left over get $15 an hour. Both of them.
I don't know that anybody is going to eliminate. I mean, when you're dealing with look at it. Even if when you go to those stores that have the self checkout,
Mm-hmm.
they still have one or two people.
Oh, but Amnon, that's a generational thing. If you notice when you go, and the reason you notice is the people who usually have the problem are the old folk.
It doesn't matter, but you still have people
matter.
though.
As we old folk die out, these young folk going to be comfortable with the technology, which will continue to advance to the point that the young folk don't have the problem with it. The old folk, you don't have to take my word for it. Just go stand over at a store and watch who has to get help from the person standing there. Only two reasons. Either one, they're old folk, or two, there's something wrong with the scan. And again, the second part will fix itself just by the improvements in the technology. And the first part is going to be taken care of by Mother Nature.
You know what? One thing is putting my mind at ease about all this. That hopefully I will not be around.
What's wrong with it? What do you have a problem with?
I don't know. Is to say, okay, you know, I mean, we couldn't do that, but they can. You know, that's kind of it's a negative feeling that that is just going to bring you down, kind of,
Right. Now, hey, see, there you go. Because what this means is you're going to be able to go into a hamburger joint,
yeah,
order a hamburger that is made exactly the way you want it.
right.
The proportions are correct. The weight is correct. It is made correctly. And you don't have to argue with some snot who hates their job to be able to pay for your food and get out of it. And the biggest thing, most exciting part is that the computers won't spit on your hamburger. So what's the negative stuff?
Well, I don't know. To say that the kids could do it and that we couldn't, that's negative for me.
That's not negative. That's positive. We raised them. Hannah's much smarter than you are. That's not a criticism of you.
Yeah. I mean, I'll go with that.
All right. Well, that's what you want as a father. Happy Father's Day. You want your kids to do better than you did.
Okay, fine. Be
There
like
you
that.
go.
Be like
Gene
that.
says Amazon has a reputation for being tough on employees. Gene, now there you go with some of that fake news that Bezos. Look up Bezos, Jeff Bezos, Amazon. He is a far left wing hack, and I mean there's no way he could do anything. I'm sure he's going to probably better McDonald's, and he's going to pay these people at least $25 an hour with free healthcare. Got to be.
Yeah.
Got to be. I mean, that's the only way he can maintain any self-respect or dignity.
Mm-hmm.
So John said someone is selling a vending machine that dispenses 6 flavors of frozen yogurt with a variety of toppings. And yeah, sure. And technically it's not very hard to do. And so you say, well, okay, then what if there's a problem? Okay, there's a problem. You can go to a Coke machine now and put your money in and have a problem.
Right.
So if there's a problem, you deal with the problem. I don't understand Brent's comment. Somebody help me here. Wonder Women is the best Amazon.
Brent said something?
Yeah.
Why am I missing that?
I don't know. Maybe you're not watching chat.
I am.
Refresh. John says, well, they have an express lane for Prime members. I would argue that that's a good marketing point. And then, of course, if they start doing that, they're probably, oh, she was from Amazon. Okay, Paul. All right. So that would be a good marketing thing, but then they're going to start raising the price of Amazon to where they're going to price themselves out of the market. Okay. I'm not into that.
Okay.
Stuff.
Now I'm seeing the computer must have locked or something. I couldn't get into the chat. I have to go in.
See, now you're blaming technology. If you had
yep,
a person,
I always blame technology. Always blame technology. You have to.
Yeah.
Let's see.
By the way,
yeah,
with regard to this business of having a machine that replaces workers to make hamburgers, some do-gooder posted in the comments said, I am generally not in favor of doing business with companies that displace workers with machines. Next comment was, I guess you don't drive a car.
That's a good point. Good point.
Yeah. People say things that they like the sound of it without realizing it makes no sense at all.
Are you going to feel comfortable driving by yourself in a car that drives you and you actually could sit down and read the book? I don't think I could.
Well, you say that, but over time, I mean, the question then becomes how accurate are they? If there are 100 million hours of road time and no accidents, then all of a sudden your enthusiasm starts going up a little bit.
Yeah.
If they have one a day, then no, I wouldn't do it. But I will tell you this: it's autonomous vehicles you're talking about. Major research, Uber and big, among other things. I have to, because of this radio station that I'm with, that I have to go down to Wilmington periodically. If you were to look at I-40 between here and Wilmington, that would be so easy to put an autonomous vehicle on that road. if there were some sort, I don't know how they're going to keep it between the ditches. They originally were talking about putting some sort of guide mechanism on the center line and on the edge of the road or whatever. Now, I believe they're talking about using the existing road markings so that they don't have to have all this upfit cost. I don't know what the
And
latest
GPS.
technology is. And GPS, I mean, that may be the ultimate. I don't know. But having said all that, that would be so easy to put an autonomous vehicle. Now, if they did that, if I had an autonomous vehicle that would make that drive, I
Mhm.
absolutely would start using it tomorrow
To
because that's
go down to Wilmington.
yes, about 2 hour and 15-minute drive, depending on traffic and so forth. And it's a straight shot. I mean, it's so boring. It's a straight shot. The road is really good for now. It'll deteriorate over time thanks to politicians, but for now it's good. And there's a lot that could be done in that 2 hour period of time.
Mm.
Would I use it to go from here to Winston-Salem on I-40, taking business I-40 through Greensboro? Not so sure at this point. That
During
would,
rush hour too?
well, yeah, sure. Yep. Gene took Nick's advice and bought a Roku 3. I just bought a Roku 4 or whatever the one is above the 4. I love them. We've got them on every TV. Great, great, great little device. And you know that Computers 2K Now is on the Roku.
Yep. You can watch us on it.
Just don't watch us on a big TV. I'm telling you, with Amnon and me, it's not a pretty picture.
By the way, the Facebook channel is on. So for those of you that do want to watch it on a big screen, it's easier like that. And the problem that I had with it here was the cache. I can't believe that Chrome still. I mean, I don't understand. You changed the link, and Chrome said, "Nope, I'm sorry." No.
I just clicked on the link, and it's still playing last week's show. But I
I know. That's the problem. Is if you clear your cache, then when you click on it the next time, everything will be fine.
I'm hitting reload.
Are you using Chrome?
Yes.
Yeah. I don't know how to do it that it recognizes that it's a new, but I guess they want it to be fast, so they're using caching, and that sometimes in this case screws things up. Anyway, talking about browsers, the new Firefox came out, and while I think it was Monday or Tuesday, while we were trying to get into a PRIN to talk with Steve and Jorvik, all I got was a black screen. And couldn't understand why. And that was the problem with that. When I tried to go into the Hangouts, it did the same thing. It gave me a black screen. It says that it will not work until Microsoft fixes the problem. Until Google will fix the problem.
So Firefox updated their software, and now they're blaming the problem on Google.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if you try to go to the Hangout with Firefox, it will not work. It'll actually give you a black screen and an error message. Something about them not supporting plugins anymore, or something like that.
Aren't Hangouts going away?
Not that I know of.
I thought they were.
The Hangouts on air went away or are going away.
Oh, okay.
And talking about that, and maybe other people will also be interested in this. Mike, what was the downside of using Zoom instead of Skype that we came up with?
The quality wasn't there. And there
The
was,
audio,
as far in
audio.
terms of video, there was some things to do with screens moving around, or you're not satisfied with the way you were able to capture the video, as I recall. I don't know what the video issues were. The audio quality on it there was not good.
Okay. No,
Not that audio matters.
the screens moving around, that happens in Skype or in any of the other ones as people drop in and out. And I'm sure it happens in Zoom, but I went yesterday and just kind of took a look, and it looks nice, but I said, no, there was something there that's why we are not using it because of something. Okay, so the audio is not there either. Interesting.
Well, then now this is old. I haven't used it in a year.
I don't know that. Well, I don't know if they changed anything.
It's a good service. It's a
It's
very good
HD. They're talking about HD audio and HD video. So I
well,
don't know what HD.
Zoom.us is what we're talking about, and I have an account there for another
Yeah.
3 years. And uh, do you have my login information?
No.
Okay. Do you have an account there?
Yeah.
Do you have a paid account there?
No. You what you get for the free is unlimited time for up to 3 people. After that, you have to have a paid account.
Mm.
So there's no limit on how long, and I can't remember, up to 100 what something. Don't remember. But I said, no, I mean, for the occasional, because Skype is really bad these days with the syncing of audio and video. So I said, well, some people don't want to use a Hangout, so maybe I can use that. And in most cases, it's going to be one-on-one. A host sitting here and somebody on the other side. It's sort of easier because you don't have to run Skype on your machine, and there's a number that you give them, and the number stays the same apparently, unless you change it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I'll try it sometime and see. But you remember there was something when we were testing it, and
yeah, but that very easily could have changed. I know that a little group that I'm in, they use Zoom for monthly newcomer meetings.
Mm-hmm.
They tested many sources of that service, and I mean they did the Hangouts, they tried Skype, they tried a lot of things because a lot of their new members are not tech savvy. They're smart people, but they're anti-technology to some point. And Zoom was the only one they had that the vast majority of them were able to download and log in without a lot of issues.
So
Alan, go ahead.
No. So they are using it.
Yes.
And it is working for them. Yes. But I guess again, like you said, if the audio quality, I mean, audio quality to talk with grandma or person to person on a, for a meeting is one thing, but audio quality for a broadcast is different.
Well, most podcasters don't know the difference either. I mean, it would be useful for them.
Alan you've started saying.
No, he says Skype hates me. I hate Skype. For whoever did it, and I'm not sure it was Microsoft because a lot of these erosions started appearing before Microsoft took control. I don't know whether they influenced them, but Skype used to be a wonderful service. It was the go-to. There was nothing to discuss. If anyone ever comes along with a competitor for Skype that's equivalent, I would not only stop using Skype, I would go in and delete my accounts just because I hate them. I mean, why would they get away? We have certain, like Computers 2K Voice. It's on Skype.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to call us on Skype, you call Computers 2K Voice. You can't do that anymore. If you want to set up a new account, we have new people coming along, new podcasters, new internet broadcasters. They want to set up a nice, meaningful name. Oh, you need to connect to me at live:__834.
Really?
Or you can, or you have to use an email address. Connect with me at onair@computers2know.com. You have to give them an email address. Well, what happens when you decide because that email address has so much spam?
Mm-hmm.
Now you've got to delete it. You've got to replace it. Now I'm asking these questions. I don't know the answers to these. There may be a workaround.
Good point.
But you delete that now. Can you move your contacts over? Maybe so. Does everyone then have to update their contacts? I don't know the answer to that. Is it a pain in the butt that shouldn't be there? Yes. I hate Skype. Absolutely hate them. And they have, contrary to what they did years ago, either their servers are stressed or they have screwed up the audio. It used to be that Skype audio, in fact, I think it used to be full duplex, but I'm not sure about that. But I know that their simplex audio now is getting as bad as Google Hangouts.
Yeah, it's really bad. I mean, some of the guests insist on Skype, and I sit here and I'm watching, and I said, "Oh, geez, there it goes, here it goes, here it goes," and it's completely out, and then it comes back and goes the other way, and
Well, to give the devil its due, Skype error correction and recovery used to be their biggest problem. Now it's their biggest asset. They will recover better than almost any other service I've seen. Now, I will tell you that I am sorry to have to report that even though I was a big fan and a big advocate of the SIP soft phone client
Mhm.
called Blink, Blink, it's from icanblink.com. I was a big fan of it, big advocate. I don't use it anymore. I mean, I will use it if I need to, if it's already on the computer. But they've got some real jackasses involved in the company, real smart mouth people. They're over in Europe, so maybe it's a European thing. But they're these typical IT know-it-alls like Jason, and you don't need to expose yourself to that. Oh, it's free. You're not having to pay for it. I'll pay for it. I don't mind paying for it. I don't mind supporting it. Well, we don't have a paid model. Okay, well, that's not my problem. But for the Mac version, it is a paid version. But I had the reason what finally ended it for me is that we set up a call-in system at a radio station where you can dial this SIP number and it rings and go on the air with it just like a regular telephone number, just like you can do there, like I do here. I had Blink set up because it's simple, easy to use. People can understand it pretty quickly. And I ran into two problems. One, I wasn't too bent out of shape about. The first one was that there's no way to stop from loading two instances of the program. If you load two instances of it and try clicking on answering the call that's coming in on the wrong instance, it won't answer the call. And when it opens it can open minimized. There's doesn't seem to be a way to open it maximized, or if it is, I haven't figured it out. But there's no setting in the preferences allow only one instance to open. If it were, that would eliminate that problem. The second problem I ran into is that for 3 days in a row, it would work in the afternoon, but in the mornings you could dial in and you couldn't answer the phone call. Or you could dial in, it would ring once and then go busy. Some really stupid stuff. I took out Blink and put in Bria from counterpath.com, Bria. I use version 3.5, which is the last paid version I have. Haven't missed a lick. Haven't missed a problem. Works perfectly.
But that's a paid.
It is. It is. The free version is X Lite, X-Lite. I don't know what version they have, but you can play with it with X Lite. If you like X Lite, then Bria is the paid version. And I will tell you, there's some really good free software out there. But if you use it and find it mission critical, you need to really think that through. Blink
Yeah.
is free, and I ended up in 3 days not being able to take phone calls, aggravating listeners who wanted to call in and wonder why your operation is so poorly run that you can't even receive a telephone call. I mean, what did we do wrong? We trusted a product, and the product let us down. It was intermittent. It was hard to find.
I tell you something else that they did to Skype that is driving me crazy. Being in the studio for Computers 2K now, I get a lot of requests to be added. A lot of them are junk. I used to be able to, when I see a request, you could right click on it and send I am. And I used to say, for what purpose? And the legitimate ones will come back and say, for being on the Breaking Free, for being on the Vietnam show, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Now, You can't do that anymore. If you have a request, like I have one on the screen right now, I have to accept it and then be able to send an IM. If I try to send, it says no, you have to accept it before you can send an IM. So
go ahead.
Yeah, so it's ridiculous because you have to accept, and they're already in your list. And if I went ahead and accepted now, and this is like a spammer or somebody, they can come in and just call in the middle because I have it so people cannot call unless they're in the list. So they don't bother a show. Now I have to accept it and wait for somebody to answer whether it's correct, it's legit or not. While before, it would just stay there and they will never be able to call until I hear from them. And if I don't hear, I just remove it. So it's I don't know. It's not efficient for what I do.
Person wants to call in to Breaking Free.
Yeah.
They have to send you a contact request first.
Correct, for video. Yeah. Anybody who's going to be a guest with video has to send in a contact request first. But there are bots out there that are sending requests for people, just, I get probably about 20 or 30 a week that are just junk.
You're just a popular guy, I'm not.
Yeah, it's not, it's just an old account, and that's probably why they do it. So, Mike, let's go back a second to Bria. With Bria,
yes,
both sides have to have the paid version?
No.
So if I get an account or I buy it, and then somebody, like a guest from somewhere, wants to connect, what do they have to do?
Any SIP account.
Okay, that's going to be a little bit more complicated for them.
It's not. No, not for the general public. It's too complicated.
Okay, never mind. That's all right.
I mean, I still have to fitz around with it to get it to work. I'm glad you brought it back up, because what I'm getting to is that I actually was in some calls with the main developer of Blink, which is why I was a big fan of it. He's a good guy, and he gets testy every now and then, but he's a good guy, and he's generally concerned about audio quality, and he's even concerned about video quality. He claims that you can do a blink to blink HD video call with a 48K Opus audio. Well, if you do that, you're at or better than Skype. I tested it with him and it worked, and it was great. But I know that Andrew and I did some testing at one point, and Andrew has a sharp eye for that sort of stuff. He said, nope, not there yet. Now, there've been some improvements since then. So whether it works now, I don't know. I don't know if it's WebRTC. I really don't know what they're doing on the back end. I would suggest that if, let's say, for example, we got a message today that Skype is going to stop doing video as of 5 o'clock today.
Mm-hmm.
Then I would immediately suggest you start testing some of these alternatives with regard to the SIP, Simple Internet Protocol, something I think it is, Internet Protocol. And I'm not going to get into what it is here. It's very complicated for the uninitiated, but it's really just how to make and receive telephone and other media calls over the internet instead of over copper lines. Skype is a form of SIP. It's a form of VoIP, but it's proprietary. And it's a fun thing for techies to play with. It's not for the faint of heart yet. One of the reasons that I liked Blink is because if you followed the simple setup process going through where you install the program and set up a new account through them, you didn't have to get into the ugly furry stuff in the background. It would set it up for you automatically. If you set up your own manually, then there is a lack of consistency with regard to how you set up the account. For example, if one place on it, well, they're called soft phone clients. Hi, Steve. So if you're going to set up the account on one soft phone client, you log it in as computers 2K now at sip to sip. I think it's sip to sip.info. If you go to another one, you have to put it in as the username Computers2K Now, and the server name is sip.sip.info or something like that. I mean, it's really funky how it varies, and if you understand it, it's trivial. If you don't understand it, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's sort of like what we were saying, that internet broadcasting will go mainstream sort of when you'll be able to go in your car and press a button and change station like that, because right now a lot of people really have to know where to go to in order to do it. It's not as simple as turning a radio on.
Well, I have a theory about that. I really hadn't even thought about it till just now, but based on some things that are happening, and I think that probably what's going to happen, based on what I see with GPS and Echo and these other things, is we keep say push a button, listen to Computers2K Now in your car.
Yeah,
but it's going to be tuned to Computers2K Now. It's going to be voice. We're not going to have buttons. We're not going to have all these presets. You're not going to have to remember where it is. It's the same thing that you go to a Google search and you say Computers2K Now. It'll take you to the website. You could have any domain name and it would still find you with a Google search. That's going to make things easier and
on
more
the phone.
Huh?
I don't know that can you do it on the computer? On the phone, yeah.
No, I'm talking about if you go to a Google search and type in Computers2K Now,
type it.
It's going to take you to our domain name, whatever it is. You can change it to Computers2KNow.pro or anything you want, and it's going to find it after enough time has passed.
Yeah, and on a phone you can actually talk and say Computers2K Now, and it'll
Siri and the others.
Hey, Steve.
Hello, everybody.
How are you?
I'm well. Sorry, I'm late. It's Father's Day, so I just got back from visiting my father.
Nice.
Very good. Very nice. So let me ask you a question.
Only one?
Just one.
Okay.
That's a lie. What do you think of Nigel Farage?
Personally, I think it's a big blowhard.
Yeah.
And as with most politicians, he's out for his own ends.
Other than that.
Other than that.
Don't hold back.
He's just a bit of a numpty.
Why is he so popular?
Well, he isn't. He's popular to a few, certainly the minority. I don't know. He just seems to have this personality. You either love him or you hate him. He just looks like a muppet. I mean, his whole demeanor is like, I want to be one of the lads down the pub having a drink. But he just seems to say the right things to the right group of people that happen to be in front of him, the same as any politician does, with no intention of fulfilling what he's talking about.
Yeah, I met him Friday. The reason I'm asking, I met him Friday.
Now, don't tell me you're best BFFs now, are you?
Hardly. It's kind of hard to establish that sort of relationship in a 5-minute meeting.
I just don't like the man.
You got to give him credit for one thing, though. There was a gathering after the event that night, a cigar thing out on the veranda type event. And he was just standing around talking to everybody. I mean, he was not like the typical politician where he had bodyguards all around him and you couldn't get up to him. He was standing there on the bar, leaning back, smoking a cigar, and anybody who wanted to walk up and talk to him. If you didn't know who he was, you would not have known that he was some sort of a celebrity, I guess.
Yeah, that's a good way of describing him, some sort of celebrity. I don't know. I don't like any politician these days. There's maybe the odd one or two that some of what they say I believe in, but the vast majority is like, yeah, blah, blah, bleeding blah.
What is he in the government?
Nothing.
Oh,
nothing now.
So
he engineered Brexit.
Right.
Yeah, he was the leader of UKIP, UK Independent Party, and his one purpose was to get England out of the EU, or Britain out of the EU. United Kingdom. Sorry, there's three ways of saying it. United Kingdom, he wanted to get us out of the EU. And he achieved his goal, which is, fine, fair enough. Well done. Brownie points to you. Now just go away and leave us alone because you're horrible.
Oh, he's making it big in the U.S. I mean, he's rocking and rolling over here.
He has a lot of charisma.
What's that other guy called that was made it big in the U.S.?
Trump.
No, not Trump. The English guy, chat show sort of type.
Mark Stein.
No, what's his name? Pierce, somebody or another?
Pierce. No.
Piers Morgan.
Morgan, yeah.
Yeah, he made it big in the States, but now he's back here, unfortunately, churning all our guts up now.
Yeah, he's more at home where you are.
He's just a flash in the pan. He'll be gone.
Yeah. I get those guys confused. I think he's James Bond.
James Bond, because you're thinking of Pierce Brosnan.
Whatever.
Yeah.
And you were talking about SIP. I used to be into SIP really big time. Blink, I agree with Mike, is a good client. And the other one used to be, I can't remember what it's called now, but it was made by the same company that made Bria Counterpath.
X-Lite,
that was the one. But that sort of seemed to go by the by. They changed something on it, which was to the detriment of it, in my view. But Blink is a good one, but you do need to know what you're doing, as Mike said. But once you've set it up, it's like getting any account. Once you set the account up, then it's fine. You know who you want to contact. You just put that in and then you contact them. But you've got to set it up properly to begin with. And there are a few little intricacies, but once it's set up, then it's done. Same as Skype.
Mm-hmm.
You've got to put your contacts into it in order to contact them.
And in fact, I hadn't thought about it until you mentioned it, but Steve is actually the one who really taught me about SIP.
Everything I taught you, I've forgotten.
Yeah, well, good. It was useless. It was fun stuff. But Steve was doing technical support for TalkShoe at one point. And TalkShoe is where we sort of got interested in the technology of communicating that way through the internet. He would spend hours helping people set up X-Lite so that they were able to communicate with TalkShoe for free and not having to use a telephone call.
I still think SIP is going to be a big part of the future, but they need to simplify it a little bit, and I think they're working towards doing that. Certainly, the accounts and setting them up, and as you said, like sip2sip.info and all the rest of it. It can be a little bit taxing to the everyday computer user, but if you've got a slight hint of sort of network experience or how accounts and things are set up, it's not that difficult once you get your head around it.
Well, as far as SIP becoming popular, SIP doesn't have to become popular. It is the predominant method of delivering telephone calls in the United States at a business level. If you go set up a company with 50 incoming phone lines, they're all SIP, but they're at a different level. They're using asterisk servers, things like that, where and even the big telephone PBX switches are SIP based. So
for the average user, Skype is the go-to method of communicating with each other if you want to get a little bit heavier into it. I mean, there are alternatives and things, but they all come and go. There's nothing out there that's going to take on Skype at the moment.
Yeah, that's sad. And I don't understand why. I really don't.
Well, you mentioned Skype and everybody knows it. It's a common phrase, common company that everybody's heard of. If you've got a computer, you know about Skype.
But you would be amazed at how many people have never used it.
No, that's true. But most people know about it.
I mean, they've heard it because the TV stations will say, we want to talk with Steve in the UK by Skype. I mean, that even the formerly known as mainstream media have been using it because it's cheap and ubiquitous.
Well, if somebody could come out with a Skype interface that was reasonably simple, that you just literally and put it into English to say you get an email through, here's your account, this is what you need to put in for your, I can't even remember what it's called now, the outgoing address or whatever that connects to our servers. then that's fine. But unfortunately, they're all tied up in so much sort of garbage that you need to look through, and half of it you don't need to know. Just send them a one-line statement saying, put this into that section, and then you're ready to go.
Yep. As usual, the instructions are written by the techies who really understand the stuff instead of being written by people who don't understand it and have figured it out.
Which is why I used to do so well on TalkShoe, because I used to put it into English so that people understand it simply.
Brent says that the whole food workers are joking around that they're going to be replaced by robots. I wonder if those would be organic robots.
Oh yeah.
Well, you can't find somebody to help you anyway when you're in there. What do they even need to be there? What are they doing? Restocking shelves? They certainly aren't waiting on customers.
Yeah. And you know what they're doing now?
No, what?
Amazon long been a go-to for people to online price compare while shopping at brick and mortars. Now, a new patent granted to the company could prevent people from doing just that inside Amazon's own stores. The patent, titled Physical Store Online Shopping Control, details a mechanism where a retailer can intercept network requests like URLs and search terms that happen on its in-store Wi-Fi, then act upon them in various ways. The document details in great length how a retailer like Amazon would use this information to its benefit. If, for example, the retailer sees you're trying to access a competitor's website to price check an item, it could compare the requested content to what's offered in-store and then send price comparison information or a coupon to your browser instead. So they can do this, but then I was thinking, okay, fine, they're going to do that on their inline store. What happens if you go with 4G or 5G?
Well, then you let Google do the same thing to you.
What does Google do to you? Oh, they do?
They will.
Oh. Well, I mean, but Amazon is going to
walking over to the shelf and deciding whether that jar of mustard is worth $2.
Well, but Google is not going to be able to do it, by the way.
Why not?
Because Amazon is holding the patent.
Oh, gosh. Oh, gosh. I mean, NSA has been intercepting streams for years.
Oh, boy.
They've got to be
it's just interesting.
That done in a certain way to violate that patent.
Mm-hmm.
GCHQ has your data and it will do with it what it wills.
Yes.
What it wants to.
Exactly.
And you know that more than 80% of U.S. adults get news on their phones, up from roughly half of Americans just 4 years ago, according to a new survey from Pew Research Center. Now, where did most of that growth come from?
Twitter.
From adults older than 65, whose news consumption via mobile spiked almost 25% in the last year and has tripled over the past 4 years. It's interesting. I don't know, Mike, you said Twitter.
I did.
It seems like Twitter is catching flack from all over.
Well, that's no. Twitter's catching flack because they're attacking Trump because he uses Twitter.
Well,
they're just getting the blowback.
There was something about how...
And people, I mean, and the other side is doing it too because they're supporting all these people who are posting these treasonous comments about Trump and encouraging people to kill him and endorsing the shooter who shot the Republican politician. All those things. Twitter is not able to police those, nor do I think they should be able to police them. A lot
Well,
of people don't like that.
You can't be held liable for people's comments. All you can do is remove them.
Right. But then Facebook said they were going to put in a fake news filter, and anything that was conservative was going to be filtered.
Censorship at its best.
Well, it's not censorship. It's not censorship. Facebook is private, they're not a government. Censorship has to do with the government.
there was
Well, not in all cases, surely. I mean, anyone can censor somebody else's viewpoint or what they write down.
That is functionally correct. But from a legal perspective, people like to say that's censorship. You can't do that. No, they can do that. They can do that because it's theirs. They can do what they want to with it. What they can't do is the government cannot get involved in censorship as a legal term is what I'm saying.
Right. Okay.
And you're making a good point. I mean, what I'm trying to get to is that people want to say you need to be sued for censorship to Google and to Facebook. Well, you can't. You can't. I mean, they can censor whatever the heck they want to. That's their business, and they get to control it. And if you don't like it, don't use it. I've gotten to where now I used to apologize for telling people happy birthday on Facebook late because I can sometimes go a week without logging in. Now I just tell them and I don't worry about it. They'll still appreciate it, I guess.
But here's a story that from the Guardian reporting that Facebook accidentally exposed the personal information of the moderators that removed terrorist content to the group that posted that very content.
Oh dear.
From the article, it says it looks like 6 of them actually had their profiles viewed. The security lapse affected more than 1,000 workers across 22 departments at Facebook who used the company's moderation software to review and remove inappropriate content from the platform, including sexual material, hate speech, and terrorist propaganda. So now these people that are being filtered out know who is doing it.
A bit of a worry, isn't it?
This was accidentally, right?
Right.
Right. Well,
Somebody's got to do the job, but yeah, you don't necessarily want other people to know that you're the one that's doing it.
Well, is that really the kind of thing that a terrorist is going to waste their time killing Amnon?
probably not.
Comments?
Probably not, but it still doesn't help those moderators sleep good at night.
No, look at in that case in France where that comic business was bombed because they were making anti comics about terrorism and ISIS and what have you.
Mm-hmm.
You get some nut job gets it in his mind that Fred Blogs has been named as being a moderator. Let's do something.
Well, the problem is that big companies that do that sort of stuff, that let's suppose that something happens and one of these guys gets whacked. Unfortunately, too many of these companies will say, well, that's just the cost of doing business. Pay them $1 million and move on.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. In fact, I'm going to expand on that a little bit. I'm not going to tell too much, but
Go ahead.
There is a major national company run by an individual whose name would be familiar to a lot of people here. They're conservative, so they catch a lot of grief and attack in the media. They operate a manufacturing facility. One of their many facilities is down in Georgia. The guy who runs the company got word that some of the workers in this Georgia facility had been injured and or killed over the recent years. And so he decided to make a visit down there. He got the plant manager who'd been with him many years and brought him in, and he said, I want to have some very frank discussions. I really want to understand this situation, and I don't need any window dressing. I just need the cold, hard truth. I'm going to tell you the short story. The short story is how many people have been injured or killed in the last 4 years? Well, it's this number. It's something like 20. I don't know what it was. And he said, why are these people being hurt or injured? And they told him the various reasons, and it all centered around that the manufacturing equipment did not have the appropriate safety mechanisms in place to prevent the injury. How many of these would have been prevented had that been in place? It was something like 80 or 90% of them. And he said, why are we not doing it? And the manager told him, he said, well, he said, we're always under the gun for profit here. And he said that it's cheaper to pay the claims than it is to put the equipment in place. And so the boss asked him, he said, so you're saying that if we'd spent this, I make up numbers, 5 million to put the equipment in place instead of paying out 3 million in claims, we would have not had these injured people to deal with and their families. He said, correct. And the guy said, you're fired. End of story. They put the equipment in place.
Well, you can't put a price on life, can you?
Well, apparently you can. I mean, from a pure economics perspective, you can. An economics person looking at things from a purely educational aspect absolutely can put a price tag on it. For example, I mean, I'm going to make this up. I don't even know if this will hold water, but let's suppose that a company provides health, and that's not going to be a good example, but yes, there is a certain price. A company's liability is limited in a case. Let's say their liability is limited at $2 million, and it would cost them $4 million to protect against the injury. They put $2 million a year in the bank, even though somebody gets hurt. So yes, there's a price tag on it. You can't put a human price tag on it.
Go.
And this is somebody who's roundly criticized by the formerly known as mainstream media.
Steve, you have a Surface, right?
I have a Surface Pro 3.
Yeah. Well, it says a Microsoft's latest Surface laptop may have earned glowing reviews from certain sections of the tech press, but don't tell that to iFixit. The company, which provides repair tools and manuals for popular gadgets like the iPhone and PlayStation, has handed the Surface laptop a score of 0 out of 10 in terms of user repairability, stating definitively that the laptop is not meant to be opened or repaired. You can't get inside without inflicting a lot of damage.
Yeah. One of the Surface Pro 3 is pretty much the same. But most appliances in a tablet form or a phone form aren't designed to be taken apart. They aren't designed to be fixed. They just chuck away and replace these days, which is terrible for the environment, terrible for the planet. Yeah. But what can you do if manufacturing is designed around putting the thing together and that's it? It's together and it's sealed. Then what can you do? You can't force them to make it repairable. It's going to cost them half as much again.
Right. I this week I was handed a Samsung, some kind of a tablet. I don't think I saw the model on it, but it's like a 8-inch or 7-inch, and the guy said it wouldn't work. He didn't have the charger for it with him, so I said, "Does it come up?" He said, "No." So I took it home. It was a friend at the garage, and I plugged it in, and it flashes and it goes out. So first thing I looked at was the connector, and sure enough, it's messed up inside. Somebody put either the wrong connector or it was a little bent and they pushed and they broke the inside. I was trying to open the thing. I can't. I mean, I know there's a way. I don't believe that they would glue it back.
They do, though, don't they? The screen's the last thing to go on and the first thing that needs to come off, and it's so glued in so tight. If you look at any of these iFixit videos, the tools that they need and the precision and the delicacy that they've got to go through to try and prise, millimeters apart at a time, it takes them, a good hour just to get the screen off. And then you've got all the other bits and pieces that are glued and fitted in. Nightmare. I wouldn't even attempt it.
I wonder how the professionals do it. Or do you have to sign a waiver?
Probably. I don't imagine there's any guarantee that they can be fixed.
Oh.
Leave it with us. We'll try.
Mike, did you had iPhones for a long time?
Had both, yeah.
And did you ever see somebody opening one of them?
Sure.
And is it easy?
For him.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the key point. If you've had experience of doing it before, I imagine it's quite easy, but to do it for the first time, you'd be like walking on eggshells.
I wouldn't do it. I mean, I've done that stuff for years. I wouldn't do it. And by the way, anybody in the Raleigh-Durham area, I would like to give a shout out to my iPhone guy. I've been very impressed with this guy. He's a good guy. He does a lot of it while you're waiting. He shoots straight with you. Now some of his prices are not as good as others who may have better quantity buying because it's just him sitting at a desk. But now I can't find his business card. But wait a minute, I've got it in here. But what he does is, in fact, my phone, he just put a new battery in it. He charged me $35 and did it while I waited.
That's including labor and the battery?
While I'm sitting there, yeah. Hand me the phone, get $35 later.
Wow.
And the phone's only about 2.5 years old, 3 years. I guess it's 2.5 years old. So it was due for one. Did it make a tremendous difference? No. Did it make a difference? Yes. It was worth $35 difference. But I'm going to find his name while I'm talking.
That's not expensive at all.
But
maybe you can get it for $29.95 online.
Right. But if it's online, the only price you compare is if you can walk in, have it done, and walk out with your phone.
Yeah, because you wouldn't do it yourself, would you? So $35 if you take his time into account as well as the cost of the battery, that's cheap.
No, I'm going to give you his telephone number. His name is Bobby Payne, Payne, Bobby Payne at Digital Solutions. He's over on Maynard Road near High House, across from the Kroger, if you know the area. He's inside
Time Warner
called Expert Solutions. Expert Solutions. He's inside that store. But if you call him on this number, two things. A, or at least several things. One, ask him if your phone is repairable. B, ask him if he has the part in stock. C, if he fixes that sort of problem. And he'll tell you exactly what you need to know. And not every phone, he won't work on every phone. There are some Samsung phones that he says they're just not worth repairing. You can't get the glass. It's too risky to try to change it out, which is exactly what you were talking about a moment ago. But I've used him on like 4 separate occasions, and every time I've had good results. His telephone number is 919-481-0961. 919-481-0961. His name is Bobby Payne, Payne. Digital Solutions is the name he goes by. It may be on the internet. I'm not sure, but just a good guy.
That's good to know. Absolutely.
But now, and the reason I really like him is because think about how a lot of these companies treat you. My daughter's screen, she broke her screen on her iPhone 6, and I talked about this before. And she had not backed her phone up as usual. So the problem was we could not, with the screen being broken, we couldn't touch anything. We could see the phone, but we couldn't get in to unlock it and to back things up and all that. I went to him and I said, "Is this fixable?" "Yes, fixable." "Well, I don't want to spend money on the phone. The phone's in warranty. And I've got one of these extended warranties on it, which I don't normally buy, but I did buy through Square Trade because of the guy that came on the show, Amnon.
Mm-hmm.
And the phone's in warranty. They're going to replace it, but I need to get our stuff off of it. And I said, do you have an old phone I can buy and put the display on it temporarily? And he looked around and found one. He said, uh, I've got one. It's not exactly the right one, but it'll work. And it's going to be a little awkward and the button's off. Okay, it's fine. So anyway, he put it on there and we were able to get it and to get everything backed up, and then went back. He took that one off, put the
Original.
original one back on there bad. We sent it back and got her a new phone. And I wanted to say he didn't charge me anything.
Was that the first time you dealt with him?
No, it was the second time,
Okay.
but I'm not sure he remembered me from the first one.
Well, I mean,
It's
but
been a while
you
before.
remembered. That's the important thing.
Well, let's put it this way. If he charged me anything, it was $35,
Mm-hmm.
which was an overwhelming bargain
Sure.
for the amount of time. He probably spent 30 minutes on it. And people say, well, that's $70 an hour. That's 140,000 a year. Well, no, you don't get to do that every hour because you got a lot of time talking to people on the phone, telling them whether you got the parts or whether you fixed the problem. So Alan says his phone was $30 plus tax, iPhone 4 for a battery. Did they install it for you, Alan? If so, how long did it take them? And the other thing is the battery for the iPhone 6. I don't know if it's the same price, but if you can find somebody who'll do a good job, walk in, walk out, $30, that's a good deal. Y West, I don't know who that is.
Yeah, I mean,
and Alan in Canada.
Yes, the problem these days is finding somebody local that will actually repair whatever electronic bit of a kit that you've got, and finding them. I mean, I live in a fairly big town, and there's one guy that does TV or monitor repairs, other than going to the major city, and that's just one guy in the local area that advertises. If I hadn't found him, I wouldn't have bothered going to the local city. I would have just scrapped it and bought a new monitor.
Right.
But he charged me £85. That was to replace the power supply unit inside the monitor, including fixing it and whatever. It took 3 days.
What monitor was this?
This was the Dell IPS monitor that I bought. It was £550 when I bought it.
Wow.
1920 by 1200. It really is a top class monitor, and it was worth spending as it was just a power supply. I took a chance on it not being something else as well, but £85 worth it in my view.
Right.
How much would it cost you to buy another monitor? Not like it, but another monitor now.
Comparable.
Well, I did actually buy another one, thinking that I couldn't get it fixed when I actually found his address the morning that it was delivered. And that was 130, I think.
Okay.
It's not the same category. It's designed for artistic use and for really intricate graphic work. But back in those days, I had lots of money, so I wouldn't be stupid enough to buy one like that now.
Well, that's...
But you can't find the people. That's the problem these days. I mean, if you've got an piece of audio equipment, where do you take it to get it fixed? And at a sensible price. I mean, most people will charge you £50 before they even look at it.
I read an interesting article just this morning, in fact, on HVAC work. It's talking about the different systems you can put in your home and the technicians required to do a certain amount of work. And I believe it was This Old House magazine. They made a comment that don't get your hopes up because most trades no longer have competent technicians to do the kind of work that's necessary to put in difficult systems.
Well, I suppose a lot of it is as trade dies off and people aren't as interested and people diverse and go in other different directions. People aren't being taught how to repair things these days.
Talking about AC, Mike. Uzi was here Thursday, and he got a new meter that he can monitor temperatures, like the ambient and what's coming out of the vent and all at the same time. So he was playing with it. He said, "I'm not. Your AC is not working like it's supposed to." I said, "Well, it's cooling. I mean, if it's at 76 and we put it at 75, it goes down to 75." He says, "Yeah, but I mean, I think it can work better." So he said, "You probably need Freon." So I called the guy that actually installed it originally 8 years ago. And Chad came over. And first he went and checked the same way with the temperature. And he said, "That looks pretty good." He said, "I think your meter needs to be calibrated." He's supposed to have 20 degrees between what's the ambient, between the return and the register. So then he said, "Okay, let's go check outside." And he had everything digital now. It's no longer those gauges that we're used to. And he put it in and he said, "No, something is wrong." He said, "You are low." So he checked and checked and checked just with those gauges, and everything is talking to his smartphone and giving him information about what's going on with everywhere. And he said, "Amnon, you have a leak in your evaporator." I said, "It's still under warranty, right?" He said, "Oh, yeah, it won't cost you a penny." I said, "Okay." He said, "Yeah, but I need to order it. And meantime, let me put some Freon in it." So he started putting Freon. And he said, "It's this," I can't remember what it was, "still low." And he puts more and he puts more and he puts more. And then he looks and it says that system holds 16 pounds. He ended up putting 14. Now, the system was still cooling. I mean, it's supposed to have 16. It had 4. It had 2. And it was working, cooling and bringing it down in those hot days. Yeah, it works a lot better now. And I said, "So why are you doing this? This is all going to go away." And he said, "No, I mean, I'll be here next week. If it hasn't leaked out, it's probably a slow leak from years and years."
Well, maybe not. And there are ways of testing it, but a lot of these guys will just throw the Freon in it to see if it leaks down in a timely fashion. But I'll tell you, that may be illegal.
To what?
Put Freon into a system that's known to be leaking. And when somebody comes around to your house, they check your system, they find it low on Freon.
Yeah.
It has a leak. Freon does not escape.
Right. It doesn't escape. Yeah. So he's coming back Monday or Tuesday to replace the evaporator unit.
It's so hot here today, and it's going to be again tomorrow. We could do with air conditioning where I am. But unfortunately, it's not a common thing in the UK.
So even if you open the windows now, it will be...
Well, there's virtually no air. There's virtually no breeze blowing. The problem is it's very humid because we're surrounded by water. It's always hot and humid and sticky and horrible. 80 degrees it is today.
And you don't even have a window unit?
No, the average house doesn't have air conditioning. Businesses and cafes and restaurants, things like that do, but not the average house.
How much does the window unit cost over there? Do you know?
I wouldn't have a clue. I know you can get a portable unit for about £300. But they're the average house just doesn't have it, because I mean it probably gets up to a really stupid temperature for 2 or 3 weeks of the year, and the rest of it is bearable. So it's not worth putting it in for that cost, unless you're really rich, then you can afford it.
Yeah, it's amazing.
sit in front of a fan.
It's amazing how when you get used to these things, you can't live without them. But when you don't have them, it's just a matter of getting used to it.
Yeah. Well, it was so hot in bed last night that I had got a 12-inch fan was sort of blowing across the top of the bed just to keep the temperature down.
And it was fine.
It was okay, yeah.
Ugh.
I eventually got to sleep.
I mean, no way. If my air conditioner goes out on a hot night, I'll go to a hotel.
Well, yeah, that would be an answer, I suppose.
Well, Steve, you can rest comfortably knowing that your politicians have air conditioning, so they're not.
Oh, absolutely.
They're not uncomfortable.
Yeah, they're absolutely fine. Thank you.
No, I just didn't want you to lose any sleep over that one.
No. Well, I nearly lost some sleep last night. Poor dog was panting away, so I thought, right, time for the fan.
Yeah, I'm not a big
not nice
person.
So Nick is not here, and this has to do with gaming. Anybody remembers the word Atari?
Yeah, Atari ST computer.
Atari CEO Fred Chesney told GameBeat in an exclusive interview that his fabled video game company is working on a new game console. In doing so, the New York company might be cashing in on the popularity of retro games and Nintendo's NES Classic Edition, which turned out to be surprisingly popular for providing a method to easily play old games like Super Mario Bros. And The Legend of Zelda in HD on a TV. So last week, Atari began teasing a new product called the Atari Box. The video, the Atari Box. Yeah, well, Xbox and Atari Box. The video released on a non-Atari website showed a picture of some kind of hardware product, but many people wondered if the teaser was fake. Others had no idea what the video was showing about a brand new Atari product years in the making. Didn't it used to be that Atari was the only one?
I think it was the Atari ST and then the Commodore Amiga, wasn't it, with the computers, and then the Atari brought the original one out with what was that space game?
I was not into Atari, so I don't know.
But there was a cartridge box, wasn't it? With a cartridge machine that you'd plug in.
All of them had cartridges back then.
Yeah.
Right.
But they've got a massive market that they're going to try and compete with if they're bringing out something now. That's going to have to really be top-notch stuff.
Mike, did you ever have a game machine, just a game?
I mean, the kids did. I never did.
Yeah, me neither.
I had a Mega Drive, which was a Sega machine.
I
still got a brand new one in the box, which has never been opened.
Yeah, so some of these old machines now are collector's items. Some of these kids are blown away with going back and playing, 4-bit graphics on Pac-Man or something like that.
Sonic the Hedgehog 2.
Odyssey by Magnavox, Sam says.
The what?
Sam says Odyssey by Magnavox. Game console.
Hmm.
Now, the kids had it, but we've got some. There's something around here that my son's looking for that he had that one of his best friends wants, is willing to pay a bunch of money for one of the old games or something that become certain collector's items.
Where are you going to tell us which one? Oh, Mike, you don't know which one?
No, I don't know.
Okay. Sorry, Steve, you said?
Like I said, there's money in it if there's a resurgence and you've got an old product that's in really good nick. I see I've got a brand new one in the box. If anyone's interested, Sega Mega Drive 2 with Sonic the Hedgehog 2. Yeah, I mean, hold on to it long enough and somebody will be interested on eBay or some other selling site.
Yeah, we're holding on to Beanie Babies in case they ever come back in.
Do you remember Furbies?
Oh, yeah, I got 2 of those.
And what was that other Gatchmo or something or another? One of those little
Oh yeah, the thing
little
from
round.
Elmo, Tickle Me
No,
Elmo.
no, there was a little round LCD screen that you used to have to sort of feed it and keep it alive and play with it and stroke it and do all sorts of things.
Yeah,
I
the
can't remember.
pets, whatever.
Tamagotchi. Tamagotchi.
I remember it. We probably had one.
Yeah.
Kids were spoiled,
I
right?
remember selling Furbies. You couldn't get enough of them.
Yeah.
Foibies.
I had an interesting thing happen this morning. I went into my little office up here on my second floor, and I had turned on. I'm looking for my little portable recorder, thinking it might be in there. I went in there this morning, turned on the light, looked around, didn't see it, and I walked out, left the light on, went into another room, came back to before I came in here to turn the light on. When I reached in, I just reached around the door to hit the light switch. When I did, my hand hit the faceplate on the light switch instead of the switch, and the light flickered. What is this? Sure enough, I could sit there and touch the switch plate on the light switch, and the light in the room would flicker off and on. Started taking it all apart and open it up. It's got a three-way switch on it. I don't know where the other three-way switch goes to. There's a switch in the box beside it. We can't figure out where it goes to. I took everything. I took the first switch out and it couldn't find where the problem was. Took the second switch out and not only was the hot wire broken off of the three-way switch on the right side, but these things were pigtailed under a wire nut, and I would touch the wire nut and the light would flicker. So I took the wire nut off, and the wire going under the wire nut was not even secure.
Jeez.
I mean, two problems at one time. How often does that happen? We love this house. We really are impressed with it. We just had all the floors redone, Amnon, which is why you haven't been invited over yet, because we started everything in cardboard boxes. And so anyway, we had about 5 light switches. We couldn't figure out what they went to. 2 of them we still don't know. One of them had a I figured it just had to be something. So I climbed under the house, traced it, and found out it went to an outlet, went to that outlet and found out the outlet was miswired. I corrected that. Now this switch on the wall controls that outlet like it's supposed to do. I don't understand what gets into people. I mean, the only thing I figured is I hope one of the former homeowners did his own work. I hope electricians aren't doing this kind of work.
Yeah, that's kind of scary when you have stuff like this that is not making good. That's invitation for, God forbid, fire.
The wire going, it was going under the, I mean, normally you look for a wire going to the back wire and that's loose or whatever, but this was actually a wire going under the screw of the switch and the darn wire was broken.
So everything is fine now.
No, I had to stop working on it and come in here.
But you have the lights on.
It wasn't this room.
Oh, I you said you came in this room. Never mind.
And if I went in and turned it on in there now, it would come on. But if you listen carefully, you'll hear this little sparking, frying sound in the background.
Yes.
That's not good.
Nope.
It will be fixed as soon as we get done here.
Okay.
If I can figure out which breaker it is, unlike Gary Sam, I'm going to turn off the power.
Google.
Well, Eric asked the question. He said, if price is not an issue, do you recommend the Echo or the Google Home device?
We have the Echo, so I don't know about the home device.
I haven't heard much about the Google Home. They're both wacko leftist companies, so there's no difference there. I would suggest the Echo has probably been out and better supported than having to deal with Google.
Yeah, I think the Echo's got a lot more support, a lot more popular because the Google device came out a lot later. But who's to say what the long-term best one's going to be?
There's probably not. The truth is, there's probably not a lot of difference.
At the moment, I would say the Amazon Echo seems to get better reviews than the Google Home, but then that's because Google Home's only recently come out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would go with the Echo. He- like we said,
Even
a
the
lot
Android.
more support. But listen to this now. Google is turning a Drive into a much more robust backup tool. Soon, instead of files having to live inside of the Drive folder, Google will be able to monitor and back up files inside of any folder you point it to. That can include your desktop, your entire document folder, or other more specific locations. The backup features will come out later this month on June 28th in a form of a new app called Backup and Sync. So here's another solution for backing up your data. And a lot of people are using, I think Google Drive has a free thing, right? I don't use it, but
Yes, all Gmail accounts have storage space with them that you
okay.
can access
Yeah,
through Google Drive.
there you go.
I was reading something about that somebody was saying, I wonder when they're going to bring that kind of facility to the business class.
Oh,
They
no.
already have that.
Business class supposed to have IT departments.
Yeah, but now, for example, if you get a Google Apps for work or whatever they call it now account that has some storage space associated with it, the question is, do you want to trust Google with all your business information? A lot of people do.
Well, they'll scan the data and give you more suitable ads.
Yes,
Hmm.
and they won't do anything inappropriate with it.
Of course not.
And talking about Google, former Yahoo CEO Marissa Mayer, who resigned on Tuesday after running the company for about 5 years, appeared at a conference in London today. That was last week. At the conference, Mayer said one of the things she was looking forward to is her post Yahoo life. In her post Yahoo life was using Gmail again. I'm always faster when using a tool I designed myself, she added. So yeah, that's Verizon closed the deal and she resigned. A lot richer than she was.
Lucky girl.
Yeah.
So, who
It's
in Raleigh has Google Fiber?
in Cary, not in Raleigh.
North Hills had it originally. They were the first area to take signups. I mean, we talked about this before, and I just don't understand because maybe I'm not reading the forums or for as much as I did before, but people were desperate to get it. Now that apparently it's available, you just don't hear much.
I don't know. I know that Tony, a friend Tony in Cary, just uh, had the people come over to install it. But they had to leave and come back next week because of where they put the box and where it's going into the house. They had to dig and reroute the cable in. But he also said that it was something like 120, something like that for internet and TV.
Mm.
Internet, TV, and phone. 120 or 140, something like that.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm paying 155 for AT&T. AT&T's fiber service is very, very mediocre. It's nothing to get excited about. It's absolutely not a 1 gigabit service, contrary to the advertising, unless you happen to be in some very isolated circumstances or either don't know how to run the test, one of the two.
Hmm.
But you know what? I'm I'm satisfied with it. Would I immediately switch to Google Fiber if it were available today? It probably would depend a lot more on the TV package. If it's more expensive as a package, would I switch? Nope.
Do
Sure
they
would.
have their own uh, service of cable, or they're using somebody else?
AT&T?
Google.
No, Google. Everything. Google owns everything they're doing. They won't even. Supposedly, they're not even sharing fiber with anyone.
Yeah, AT&T uses DirecTV, but they own it now, right?
No, AT&T is owned by DirecTV is owned by AT&T.
That's what I mean.
Oh, I thought you
AT&T
said Google.
AT&T is using DirecTV, but they also have something that's like they call it. What do they call it? Something TV, something else that comes. You can have two different packages,
I
right?
don't know. I've just gotten where I don't even watch TV anymore.
Uverse TV. That's I think.
Uverse, but it's all the same,
Yeah.
just different names on the same stuff. I could take it out; it'd be all right with me.
No. And there's something to do with Mac users. If you are a Mac user,
I'm not.
you should be aware of a new variant of malware that have been created specifically to target Apple computers.
Fake news.
Really?
Fake news. Fake news.
One is ransomware and the other is spyware. The two programs were uncovered by security firm Fortinet and Alien Vault, which
Yeah.
found a portal on the Tor dark web network that acted as a shopfront for both.
No, Amnon, all this.
I
Fake
know
news, dude,
that's can't be.
see, Microsoft really put them up to it because they're just quaking in their boots over Apple's 7% market share.
They are saying that the creators behind it were professional software engineers with extensive experience of creating working code. Why would they do that? I don't know.
I did have to talk a Mac user through setting up a Windows computer yesterday. That was painful. I mean, Macs are for special.
Everyone knows you just turn the Mac on and you intuitively know exactly what you need to do.
Yeah, I'll never forget how whenever one of the 3 or 4 or 5 years ago, one of the latest iterations of Macs came out, and people were saying, "Oh, you people, it takes 45 seconds to boot a Windows computer. My Mac boots in 5 seconds."
Uh-huh.
The dummies didn't realize that it was on hibernate.
Yeah, they never turn off the machine.
Yeah.
Sam is saying it's Putin's fault.
All right.
Here's
right.
another interesting article here. They have to do a 77-page report released today by cybersecurity firm Trend Micro explores the underground landscape of fake news, where anyone can buy influence and create artificial trends to serve personal interests. An examination of Chinese, Russian, Middle Eastern, and English-based underground fake news marketplaces reveals a wide range of services available on these portals. The report explores several websites where customers can purchase services ranging from discrediting journalists to promoting street protests, and from stuffing online polls to manipulating a decisive course of action, such as an election. I think all our main media outlets probably subscribe to these things.
No, they taught them how to do it.
It is amazing. I mean, you can just buy these things. According to researchers, the typical client of such services are interested in warping the way others perceive reality. These services are usually used for character assassination, swaying political trends, or creating fake celebrities. Trend Micro has compiled a fake news price catalog in its report, which is embedded in Bleeping Computer's article. Some of the most expensive services include $200,000 for helping to instigate a street protest via fake news articles, $50,000 to discredit a journalist, and $400,000 to influence elections. I mean, they have a la carte thing. You can go and order.
That's why you use Russians. Russians are cheaper than that.
They'll do it for free.
Hey, Spence.
Good morning.
Hey, Spence.
Morning, Steve.
You know, I was wondering something, Mike. They keep on saying the Russians, the Russians, the Russians. The Russians always been hacking us.
Right?
No,
they are as we speak. That's true.
I want somebody to say that it's the Russian government that did that, and I don't think they can prove any of that anyway.
No.
Russians are known for hacking. They're sitting in basements, they're sitting in their apartments, and they're doing it.
Right.
They said the main source of people for that skill came out of the fallen Russian government originally.
Yes.
They were all looking for work. All of the Eastern Bloc countries that had these programs had talented people and said, "Oh, we need to, these people are now freelancers." So
Right. And a lot, I mean, over here too, I mean, when I talk with people in IT departments, because they want, the owner wants me to talk and see if they can do the, most of these people are Russians. It's amazing. They know what they're doing. They're getting hired because probably they don't charge more or as much as others. And they're creative too. I love talking to these people because they have an imagination. If they need something done and you say, okay, well, this, I don't think you can do it this way, but how about if you do it that way? Oh yeah, that's good. If you talk to somebody who went to school and just came out, no, there's only one way to do this. So it's interesting that when they're the media here crying, oh, the Russians did it, the Russians. Yeah, maybe it is the Russians, but it's the Russian people that were doing it, not Russian government.
No, the Russian government was paying Bill Clinton mega dollars for 3-minute speeches. And they were also negotiating with Hillary to take over 20% of the world's uranium.
Right. That's the other thing is, why would Putin want her out of the way? I mean, it would help her if she was elected.
you can count on whatever they're accusing you of is what they've already been doing.
Yep. They're deflecting.
It's
Right.
what do they call it?
Pivoting.
No, it's projection.
Mm.
It's the psychological term. It's accusing somebody of doing something that you're doing yourself.
Hey, Spence, I don't want to ignore if did you do specials? No.
I did not.
Okay. Good, because
I had the morning off.
Did you have fun?
Completely. I didn't. I slept till after 8 o'clock.
Cool.
Oh, so when is breakfast?
Oh, I had it after that.
Okay.
Yeah. Just got back from a walk, and it was. I've been forcibly put into relaxation mode today.
Okay, well, that's fine.
Not allowed to do anything.
That's fine. So here is an interesting article that doesn't mean much to me as far as the technical stuff. T-Mobile, but Mike and Spence may be able to talk about it. T-Mobile, the third largest U.S. national wireless operator, has decided to roll out 600 megahertz wireless spectrum in its footprints by this summer. Low-band spectrum is essential for wireless operations as the signals can be transmitted over longer distances and through brick and mortar walls in cities. Smartphones for this radio frequency are likely to be made available by Samsung and other manufacturers this summer. Why didn't they do it till now if this penetrates better? Huh?
Well,
600 megahertz.
What was that? What was 600 used for before?
I don't know.
Let me look it up
TV
here.
use.
Look for here, 600 megahertz. Might have been, yeah, might have been analog television.
Oh, so these are newly released kind of.
Yeah, it's not new
Frequencies.
spectrum.
Oh.
There is no new spectrum.
They need to shift it about, don't they, in order to use the old spectrum. They've got to stop using what they're using it for now in order to make it free for all the new stuff.
So it said so there was people bid for it. T-Mobile won the bid at $8 billion. Dish, AT&T, Comcast all bid on it, on some of it anyway, but T-Mobile has the biggest chunk of it.
But it's not
So-
just T-Mobile that's able to give those services.
No. I mean, if you buy the spectrum in a certain zone,
Okay.
area of the country, it says Verizon and here's how it broke down. T-Mobile bought $8 billion worth of spectrum. Dish bought $6.2 billion. AT&T bought $910 million. Comcast bought $1.7 billion worth of spectrum. U.S. Cellular $329 million, and C Spire, which is a regional, bought $19 million worth of spectrum. Gross proceeds $19 billion.
And where did all that money go?
Yeah, where?
Oh, to pay down our national debt. Where else would it have been?
So it's the government that's selling it.
This
U.S.
is
Treasury
for-
revenue $7.2 billion. Payout to broadcasters $10 billion.
Yeah, the government allocate whatever it is to the highest bidder, but what happens to the money? That's what I always want to know.
Yeah,
When they sell a nationalized thing like the railways over here, where does all the money go? They sold the post office. Where did all the money go? You never hear that.
nope.
Sam
That's
is
because
saying
it
the
gets-
FCC is rich.
No, around here they give it to all the solar developers
Yeah, okay.
who are big contributors to their campaigns.
So the government, I mean, now in all seriousness, so the government owns all the airwaves?
Well, it depends who's the government. I mean, theoretically, the government are the people. Wasn't that funny? But no, the government theoretically belongs to the people, and it's managed by the government. But for all practical purposes, considering the way it's managed, then they treat it as their own. So
When these companies bought these
Frequencies.
they wrote a check to the U.S. government.
correct.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
They didn't buy it. They're leasing it.
Yeah. Right.
It's
They
like
bought a
beer.
license to use the spectrum. They don't own it.
Yeah, it's like beer. You don't buy beer; you just rent it.
That's it.
And then the money's funneled into all of the upper class people's pockets.
Well, Steve, isn't it amazing how they've coined this new phrase in the last year or two called the deep state? Everybody hears about the deep state. Well, this is the permanent control, upper class people that run the government. Doesn't matter what party it is. Doesn't matter what their affiliations are. It's the people who are the top people that own everything and control everything.
Yeah.
So all this other stuff that goes on that we see is all like, that's just let's just confuse the masses and make them think that something's really happening when it really is. Nothing is happening except we're benefiting from all this.
Somebody's paying to manipulate the politicians' puppets, so they're
yeah.
interchangeable.
I would guess that a lot of the public people that we see who are running things are really not the people pulling the strings.
No, they're just mouthpieces.
Thus, we have the amazing, unbelievable nothing that's happening with the party that actually controls both houses and the presidency in the United States could be running forward and doing all kinds of things, but don't get me wrong, they are doing things. They actually are passing legislation, some things that were very well done, but for the most part, they could be doing, steamrolling through what they want to, but they just aren't doing it.
Oh yeah, they're quick enough to put
got-
things through that benefit the big corporations and themselves, but things that are going to benefit the public in general take years to get through.
I mean, I'm a big fan of capitalism when it's actual, what the best product wins. But crony capitalism is the problem. Crony capitalism is the bigger problem, I think, than communism.
All right. Before we end here, there's one more thing that I wanted to read here so people will be aware. After a 2-week hiatus, WikiLeaks dumped a new files as part of the Vault 7 series. Documents about a CIA tool named Cherry Blossom, a multi-purpose framework developed for hacking hundreds of home router models. The tool is by far one of the most sophisticated CIA malware framework in the CIA possession. The purpose of Cherry Blossom is to allow operatives to interact and control SOHO routers on the victim's network. The tool can sniff, log, and redirect the user's internet traffic, open a VPN to the victim's local network, execute actions based on predefined rules, alert operators when the victim becomes active, and more. A 24-page document included with the Cherry Blossom docs lists over 200 router models from 21 vendors that the CIA could hack. And they are 3Com, Acton, Aeronet, Cisco, Allied Telesin, Ambit, Amit, Inc. Or is it Amit Inc.? I don't know. Apple, Asustek, Belkin, BreezeCom, Cameo, D-Link, Gemtech, Global Sun, Linksys, Motorola, Orinoco, Planet Tech, Senato, US Robotics, and Zcom. I mean, the one that I didn't see here is TP-Link.
Or Netgear.
A what? Or Netgear. Yeah.
Yeah. The thing about Netgear is they don't work long enough to hack into them.
This is kind of, it's troubling. The thing is, it's going to be now. I mean, if it's in the hands of the CIA, it's one thing, but this is out now in the open. This is how they got that WannaCry. The bad people out there are getting this information and are using it for their own benefit to reap profits. So this is bad. I mean, you can go and search on this and see if your router is part of it. I'm hoping that the manufacturers are going to come up with a patch to fix these.
It's my understanding that some of them already have. A lot of these manufacturers knew about this before it became public to us.
Okay.
So that's I was reading about this recently, and there was another list that I saw was a shorter list, but it had to do more with firmware and chipsets, because these manufacturers will buy a chipset from some other place. These are all built by these design shops in India or whatever. They build them for these companies. These companies don't do a lot of their own internal development.
Right. So
it comes through chipsets that are spun and compromised. So.
Yep.
I remember Zyzel.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were a big design shop.
Right.
And they finally produced their own product. But they built, in the beginning, they built all the Netgear stuff.
Yep.
So you see a lot of common features if you open up some of these routers, you'll see that there are a lot of common components because it's done by the same design build shops and produced under different OEM brand names, private label stuff.
All right, guys.
Yep.
Anything?
So, Mike, was that with you with Nigel Farage?
Yeah.
Cool.
No, Steve hates him.
Lucky Nigel Farage. That's all I got to say.
I got to tell you, he's a fun guy at a party.
He likes his drink, that's for sure.
That's what the rumor is. But in all seriousness, how old do you think he is, Spencer?
65.
53.
Seriously? Really?
Yeah,
No, I couldn't tell.
The alcohol have not been good to him.
Mm.
He is a nice looking guy and has a beautiful, beautiful voice. But I thought he was about my age, but he's 53.
Younger than me.
And well, there you go. Get to my age, and there's a whole lot of that going around. And when you get to Amnon's age, you're talking about the rest of the world.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
And on that note,
Yep.
thanks, guys. Again,
Thank you.
have a great Father's Day. Enjoy it. And thanks for being here. I really started the show thinking I was going to be the only one here. Just talking with the audience.
Who are you again?
What was your name?
What's your name again?
You're not talking to me, are you? I don't remember.
I was going to be here on time, but that light switch pissed me off.
Well, now you're more relaxed, I hope.
No, I'm madder now than I was when I started. People who do stuff like that have just a wanton disregard for the safety of others.
Don't get into details, but where was this? In your house?
Yeah, I've already told all the details. It's in that little office. That's that little tiny bedroom. That's my office upstairs in the corner.
Yeah.
The wire is broken off of one of the switches. The black wire is broken off of one of the switches. We can't figure out where that second switch goes to.
Oh,
The wire is broken
I remember.
off
Yeah.
of it. And the first switch, when I touched the faceplate, the light in the room flickered. I opened it up and got into it and saw that the wires weren't even securely fastened under the wire nut for the pigtail.
Mm-hmm. I see a lot of that stuff.
It's terrible. I'm telling you, and I mean this, and I'm
Terrible,
sure
terrible.
If you go buy a house, if I started to say, if you buy a used house, if you go buy a new house, then I would suggest as part of your pre-inspection that you take off a whole bunch of faceplates and outlet covers to see if if they're backwired, and B, whether the wires in them look neat or whether they look forced in there, and just look around, because I found several problems here.
Well, at least you found it.
I know, but I've got 2 or 3 that I haven't found yet.
Give it time.
Do you have a wire tracer tool?
You know I do.
No, I mean the kind to take you back to the circuit breaker.
I got the same one that you got.
No, I mean I haven't been able to find a good AC circuit tester that works with power on.
You're talking about one that will tell you the exact copper wire?
Yes.
No, I don't have that.
Yeah, they're expensive. Good ones are expensive.
Yeah.
You mean like a tone generator?
Well, a tone generator is nice, but you need something that'll work over AC. It'll take you back to that will distinguish between like circuit breakers in the same panel. That's really hard, especially with the power on. If the power's off, it's easier, but it's still not easy to do.
Well, it's actually not very difficult, but it does require some equipment to do it, because what they do is they put to do it at AC, they superimpose a tone, quote unquote, a signal on top of the AC that's different from the 60 hertz.
Yeah,
so
it's
that
got to
60
be.
doesn't fight with it, and then they have to filter out the 60 to be able to read the low tone and all that.
Yep. And a good one I found costs upwards of 150.
I have no money.
Yeah.
Just buy one. I'm not gonna buy one. We can borrow his. All right, I'm getting out of here, guys. Happy Father's Day.
All right.
See you.
Thanks again, Mike. Thanks, Spence, Steve.
Thank you.
Good morning, Kathy, Hannah, Nabil, Mac, Norm, Katie, and Donna. Thanks, everybody, for tuning to Computers 2K Now. We hope you enjoyed and maybe learned something from our time together. Remember to practice safe computing. Back up your hard drive and update your virus scanner. We'll be back here next Sunday at 9, but you can always reach us at computers2know.com. While you're at it, like us on Facebook and subscribe to our YouTube channel. See you next week.
You are tuned to the Nissan Communications Network. If you tuned in too late, you can always watch each program in its entirety or download an MP3 audio file of it in the archives section at nissancommunications.com. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Twitter, and like us on Facebook. Sponsored by Telestream's Wirecast software, StreamingGear.com, Carolina Apparel, and DeltaForce.net.